All right, everybody, welcome to the 2002 Royal Rumble here at the Post-Wrestling Great Simulation Do-Over. Hang on, I need to clarify. Not officially affiliated with Post-Wrestling. It's just where I host the Universe thread on their forums board. So, go check that out. Go check out everything they do over at Post Wrestling. Fantastic content, podcast, wrestling, website news, all that good stuff. But as far as what we are doing, what I have been doing is since 2002. I've been since 1984. I went back using various WWE video games back to 1984 and have been simulating every TV show and watching every pay-per-view since the WrestleMania era began. And so we sit here now in 2002. This happened over several generations of the game, and we're looking for what's going to happen here. Who is number one? And number one is the man, Goldberg. And if you're going, hold on, Goldberg wasn't in the WWF in 2002. Well, it's because the invasion angle. What if it happened correctly? So in this universe, the invasion angle, did not end at Survivor Series. It is still ongoing. And part of that is Bill Goldberg. Now, Bill Goldberg, for all the hype, not a WCW world champion at this point. He's kind of a great case of maybe wasted talent. Did have a United States title run, but that's about it. So actually, a move to WWF at this time makes more sense. He'd be more affordable. That being said, I mean, the way we've run it here is that Vince has broken the bank. There's one chance to do this right. Let's do this right. Let's say he was visited by three spirits and was told, don't mess this up. Do this right. And that's the concept that we've gone under here. I'm just an observer. I put the pieces in motion and let it watch. And who's where is based on wins and losses. We've got a ridiculously nerdy Excel sheet, but that sets up what happens here. I know who the first 12 are going to be. Outside of that, it's random to me as well. So here we go. We have the man, Goldberg, Team WCW, trying to keep it going. We have WWF fronted by Vince McMahon. We have WCW fronted by a coalition of Shane McMahon and Eric Bischoff. Throughout this, the arbitrator has been Paul Heyman. ECW is not part of the war. There is no alliance in this universe. So that's sort of the storyline basis we have. The first guy's WCW. Who's the second guy going to be? As we wait. Red, we've got some Wolfpack. Who is it going to be? It's Macho Man Randy Savage. Now, Randy Savage was a WWF guy and then got hurt. And he's missed the invasion to this point and is walking down to Wolfpack theme music in NWO colors. It looks like he's chosen Team WCW. It looks like he's chosen the NWO. To sort of put things in perspective now, as we look at what a win here could mean, the WWF World Heavyweight Champion is Undertaker. The WCW World Heavyweight Champion is Hollywood Hogan. So those are the parameters in play. The NWO, the original three, Hogan, Nash, and Hall, are in the game, are in the universe. Pretty much, if you can think of the big names from WCW, they made the jump. The exceptions would be, at least as far as the WCW universe as this game consists of, no Ric Flair, no Nikita Koloff, who was a huge deal in this universe. No Barry Darsow, who was a huge deal in this universe. On the WWF side, no Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels got injured with my own sort of chaos system. Shawn Michaels was injured around the time he should have got injured. It was really weird. No Bret Hart. Bret Hart was retired about a year ago. Those are probably the big names who aren't active in the universe at this time. So we've got Goldberg, and Goldberg gets rid of Savage within moments. Wow. So Goldberg, and now my copy of WWE 2K24, like most people's, the created wrestlers got hit with a bug around as Duggan shadow boxes and Goldberg does push-ups. Okay, we're just going to take a bit of a rest spot here. Two WCW guys not wanting to test themselves as they wait for a WWF guy to maybe come into the ring, or Goldberg's forgotten his spot, or he's gassed up already. Take your choice. But in's going to come Lex Luger. This is the strangest thing. I've never seen this before. So there we have it. Luger, Goldberg is Goldberg might win if this is going to affect it on this level. I really hope there's something that I may have to jump in and just what do they call it in Game of Thrones? They called it Zorging in. They called it Warfing in. I forget. Warging in. I may have to warg into Goldberg to get him back on his feet, because this, I'll give it until the ring fills up just a little bit more, but that's going to be it. So, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, a WCW guy. Lex Luger, a WCW guy. So, I don't know if Heyman's showing his hand here. As you can see, Magnum TA in this universe. Magnum TA is part of the roster. So what happens if Magnum TA doesn't wrap his car around a pole? Well, it looks like he becomes one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I am in a war again. I am going to just make this fair and make sure that Goldberg is not just going to... What's going on? Was I told I couldn't do this? What's going on there? Let's see if I can get him back here. I don't think I can. Is this going to be a complete waste because no one can do anything to Goldberg? Am I going to have to reset? Oh, I don't want to do all that intro again. Control assignment. Hacksaw Jim Duggan. No, let's try that. Yeah, let's try that. Maybe I can do it like this. All right, I think I got it. I got it with a little bit of thing there, so I'm gonna Zorg out now. Sorry, you've heard a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff here, but I'm gonna get off of Duggan and just there we are. So I think we'll take a look at Goldberg, see if he comes back. If not, I'm going to have to restart it, and I really don't want to do that, folks. So here's hoping he responds appropriately. I think Goldberg's gassed out and has lost the will to live. Nope. No, he's active. Okay, he's alive. All right, we can continue with this one. Apologies for the I've never seen that before. Of course, once you start recording, these things happen. So Booker T never won WCW championship in this universe, a United States champion, but he's here in the WWF with his tag team partner. Why is that doing that? Does it think that I'm still Duggan? It thinks I'm still Duggan. All right, let's get off of that. There we are. Stevie Ray is part of this universe. Here is Harlem Heat on the WCW tag team division. Stevie Ray is a former WCW world champion. Take that for what it's worth. So here we are. This is the universe we live in. Key defections. Ken Shamrock, who's a multi-time world champion, has defected over to WCW. I'm trying to think if anybody's defected the other way, really. Oh, here's one. Mankind, just recently. Cactus Jack was in WCW at the time of its closure. And now we see Mankind back in the WWF at the urging of his friend, The Rock. Mankind was conflicted about the nefarious actions of some of his WCW comrades, and here he is. So in this universe, sort of the Mount Rushmore of wrestling greats is probably Hogan, Brett, Magnum TA, Ric Flair. Those are probably your big four. Others who come close, Shawn Michaels, Ken Shamrock, he's a 5-time world champion, Ken Shamrock. Undertaker. It took him a while to get started, though. Undertaker was definitely behind his curve. So that's kind of the universe that we sit in. It's been a lot of fun. We've seen things like Marty Jannetty won 2 Royal Rumbles. Main evented WrestleMania, was a world champion. Party Marty. That one's not me. That's a Racy JC line. Shout out. But here we are. The ring's getting quite full. Farouk is Team WWF. I'm just looking for who the new man is. Triple H, but not Triple H. In this universe, Paul Levesque made the jump. Who just got thrown out? I've missed that. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, maybe Mankind on the North Border. I don't know. But Magnum TA, elbowing, trying to get out of what's going on there with Farouk. Luger elbows Booker T, but Levesque trying to take out Magnum TA. So this is interesting because it's a case of you've got brand warfare in the case of WCW versus WWF, but you've also got personal interest as Lex Luger throws out Booker T. These individually, there's that individual attempt. can you really get 15 members of a roster? Because there'll be 15 WCW and 15 WWF guys, or affiliations or alliances or whatever you want to call it, in this ring. But great, so my team won. I don't think that's going to play much into it. Is Luger going to take care of Goldberg? No. Demand number one entrant, Bill Goldberg, still in the ring at 10. As down comes Kevin Nash. Down comes the calmest man, the coolest man maybe in pro wrestling, as Magnum TA is taken out, I think by Paul Levesque. And now Farouk instantly on him. Nash, big boot to Magnum TA. So, yeah, Nash has been a world champion. Hogan's been a many times, 7 or 8 world championships between the two promotions. Scott Hall never made it to the big time, although you could argue Scott Hall's more over than Kevin Nash right now. I kid you not, Team WWF, multiple-time world champion, Val Venus. During the New Generation era, shortly after his entry, Val Venus had a feud with Bret Hart and Ken Shamrock. There was a 3-way sort of program there, and they hop-a-tailed the belt around a bit. But yeah, Val Venus, multiple-time world champion. So this might be the darkest timeline you're watching, folks, or it might be the best. I guess we'll see. Last year's Royal Rumble famously won by Test, who main evented WrestleMania 17 in the Alamodome. Threw out Steve Austin to be the last man. I so thought history was going to repeat itself. But here we go. Owen Hart, alive and well. WCW's Owen Hart. Self-professed the greatest tag team wrestler of all time. Has spent more time as a tag team champion than any other man in wrestling history. That is Owen Hart's claim to fame in this timeline. So there we are. So we have Owen. We don't have Bret anymore. Bret did leave. The screw job did happen. But, as Val Venus gets rid of Goldberg. You can change all the parameters, but the idea of it, WWF is going to bury WCW, that don't go away. Bret Hart was brought back to the WWF in storyline by Linda McMahon. I don't know if there was a brokerage, whatever happened, but Vince and Bret were able to come to a solution as Big Sexy drops Lex Luger on the outside. So much for that Wolfpack loyalty, I suppose. Still a lot of WCW in the ring. The only WWF it's 3. I see Mankind, I see Val Venus, I see Farouk. And then for WCW, I see Paul Levesque, I see Owen Hart, I see Kevin Nash. So 6, 3, and 3 as we go through. Pardon the star rating in the corner. I use it for most other things, so I didn't feel like turning it off for this. But, yeah. We've got, who's 13? From this point on, I have no idea. I didn't really remember the first 12 anyway, but I definitely have no idea. This is on random. Scott Hall. So the Outsiders are together in the Royal Rumble at spot 13. Hogan will not be in this match. Hogan successfully defended his WCW World Heavyweight Championship against The Rock, and he won clean in the semi-main. It's just finished. The Outsiders, however, were unsuccessful earlier in the night, trying to hit the WWF Tag Team titles from the Hardy Boys. I think Matt pins Scott. So, number 14. You got to keep the universe, I suppose. I had a decision to make, and I just decided to run with it. Oh, apparently he's bald in this universe. I haven't seen Benoit in a bit. He was main eventing Raw and SmackDowns and things like that on a pretty regular basis earlier in the year, but he's been a bit of an afterthought since the invasion began. If memory serves, I think Benoit misses the actual invasion proper because of an injury. So, Team WWF, Chris Benoit. As Foley picks up Scott Hall, approaches the and Foley gets rid of Scott Hall. Foley turned babyface against the NWO when they were beating down The Rock. So there we go. There we go. Mick Foley throws out Scott Hall. Will that have some WrestleMania implications on it? That'll be an interesting card to book. In Toronto, Ontario, Canada, what do we do? Levesque with the pedigree on Farouk. Kevin Nash with Val Venus, but no, chop block. So it's been an interesting world. WCW's picked up some wins. At one point, they held both world titles. They've had some momentum. It hasn't all been ex-WWE guys or guys who were never in WCW to begin with, although Shamrock was a jump. Shamrock and Stephanie McMahon are married in this universe. Oh, my word. The Goldust. Oh, Goldust is going to need some... yeah, that's going to need some work. So this is Goldust's return to WWF. Goldust is returned as, I think... Did Foley just get rid of Nash as well? If Foley's removed both members of the Outsiders, that's interesting. That's interesting. Foley might need himself a tag team partner for WrestleMania. If only we knew one. As Benoit eliminates Levesque. So there we go. We've got 6 men in the ring here. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 men from WWF. The lone WCW man being Owen Hart. So, it does seem that for every time we've had a big multi-man match, there was a match where Raw versus Nitro, What Would Monday Night Be, was on the line at Survivor Series. WWF won that. So, although WCW did get some individual wins, the big moments have all been won by WWF. Does Vince have the nerve to give WCW a big win? Does he have the nerve to give a Royal Rumble win to a WCW guy? I don't know. As Benoit almost eliminates Owen Hart. Raven, another guy, WWF. He's not been a raw, wave the flag guy. Like most of the former ECW contingent, he has sort of kept a wide stay, but Raven, as Scotty Flamingo, achieved great success in WCW, but then was a multiple-time world champion in WWF before calling his shot creatively and wanting to change. And this is a return. This is a return. Vader, the Mastodon, has returned, and we're hearing it's WCW. Vader is returning on behalf of WCW. A former WWF World Champion as well. Had a great back and forth rivalry with Bret Hart just before the Montreal Screwjob. So Vader, but he's laid down his gauntlet with WCW. Because we can't see him, but we're being told that Harley Race is backstage, and Harley Race is managing, once again, Vader. Hit that button so it doesn't come up again. So here we go. All right, Owen Hart with some sort of a DDT on Vader. We've got Raven's trying. Raven's coming up short. Cactus Jack, swinging neck breaker. So, I'm not sure any of these, except for Vader maybe, inspire me with, or Mankind is a bit of a run. Last year's Royal Rumble winner, Test at 18. So here's the disparity. There's wrestlers that you're going to see here and go, how are those guys, as Raven eliminates Cactus Jack, Mankind, Dude Love, call him what you will, Raven, Scotty Flamingo, Johnny Polo, the three faces of Raven, and Owen Hart eliminates Vader. Wow. So back to my point on Test. In this universe that I've seen, Test and Val Venus more so, like these are main event kind of guys. These are guys with pedigree, but looking from the outside, it's easy to look at them and go, they're nothing. So it's interesting. Owen Hart never won a world title in either company, mainly tag team success. Did have almost a year-long run with the WCW United States title, however. So, there's still time. There's still time. Benoit peaked almost early. In WCW, he was almost a world champion off the off. And then very early into his transfer into WWF was almost a transfer. And now, speaking of transfers to the WWF, we have Rob Van Dam. I was going to say Mr. Monday Night, but he's not. We don't have a brand extension yet, so that's not a thing. So Rob Van Dam, very new to the WWF, probably has got through here more on a wild card merit than on performance per se. Largely the Royal Rumble spots, entry into the match are determined by sort of your overness. There's a metric I have, it determines overness. But then there's a few wild card spots at play. But number 20, no wild card here, except for maybe where his affiliation lies from week to week. It's Sting. Apologies. I think I'm better than some of them I did, though. So there we are. So Sting coming in, obviously Team WCW, has won one WCW World Heavyweight Championship, but Sting's kind of the great case of, he's just not quite World Championship level. He's just been knocking on the door and hasn't been too late to pull the trigger. He has one world title reign. Could he main event WrestleMania? Could he have his shot at either Hulk Hogan or The Undertaker? Sting versus The Undertaker. Imagine that one. As Owen Hart has eliminated Vader and now has eliminated last year's Royal Rumble winner Test. Owen Hart making a case for himself. As I'm trying to figure out who's the Iron Man in the match at this point. Is it Owen or is it Val? Sting eliminates Owen Hart. So I guess it's Val as Kane. That's a fairly new Kane. Obviously, it didn't take the retro the retro attire. Kane's trying out a new work. Hey, look at this. His arms are not burned. I think we're still about a year away from the one sleeve, bare shoulder kind of Kane look. But Kane instantly in, grabs Benoit, tombstone, shades of bad blood as Rob Van Dam eliminates Raven from the Rumble. Raven gone. I'm now wondering to myself, I referred to Raven as an ECW alum. I'm not sure Raven ever made it to ECW in this timeline because of how successful he was. I think he stayed with the major promotions the whole time. Perry Saturn. Don't sleep on him. Former Intercontinental Champion. Very over with the crowd. Legitimate toughness. So what we've seen is with some people who have not disappeared, take your Magnum TAs, take your, I'm trying to someone who stayed on. Yokozuna had a really long run in the WWF. These guys in general, it prevents the opportunity for someone else to jump up and take their place. Chris Jericho is nothing. Triple H is nothing. Goldberg's close to nothing. Here's a multiple-time world champion, Kurt Hennig himself, Team WCW, multiple-time world champion. I believe in both WCW and the WWF. As you can see, sort of a hybrid appearance here, wearing NWO black and white with the Mr. Perfect boots. He is referring to himself as Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, as Benoit has just eliminated Rob Van Dam. We are coming down to the home stretch. We got a few more guys who you could realistically see main eventing. I'm not sure Perry Saturn and the Godfather has returned to the WWF. Last seen as a member of the Right to Censor, the Godfather is back with his usual cavalcade, his usual train, but he is back. Here he is, 2002 Royal Rumble, clearly back to his WWF roots. A big pop, 24. I'm terrified of having to book a Godfather to WrestleMania main event. I'm terrified by that concept. Who's the one who scares me the most who's in the ring? I wouldn't want Val Venus. I wouldn't want Godfather's my number one. I don't want him. I don't want Val Venus. I don't want Perry Saturn. Storyline-wise, I can make almost anything else work. I can make Perry Saturn work. But there we are. Dusty Rhodes. This is the dream WCW return. So we had a lot of WCW early in the match, but now we've got Dusty, the son of a plumber. How does it get more WCW than that? And Sting, no respect, comes right after him. I'm not sure that's in Perry Saturn's moveset, but we'll have to run with it. Is Sting about to eliminate Dusty? Is Perry? No, but Perry eliminates. That's not Perry. That's Benoit. Bald Benoit. Baldy boy Benoit eliminates Kane from the match. Dusty Rhodes, probably well into his 50s at this point. Dusty versus Undertaker. Dusty versus Hogan. Oh. Dusty then goes after the Godfather, but that's unsuccessful. Hennig's going for Dusty. Sting after the Godfather. Yeah, I can make a Dusty storyline work. It's great. I set this up a few days ago and saved it and didn't get a chance to do it until now. So this is going to be fun. Let's see where we're at. Ooh. Oh, I thought somehow Val Venus had the pedigree for a minute. I don't know how, well, movesets are what they are. Val Venus and here he is, 5-time WWF World Heavyweight Champion. The son-in-law to Vince McMahon, but maybe the crown jewel for WCW now. The world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. Like I said, 5-time world champion. I think he's a former Royal Rumble winner as well. I think. But Ken Shamrock, definitely a guy who's been given access to that top tier. Maybe without Triple H, something like that in the way. Maybe that's something that could have happened. So instead of what we know, the great wedding thing, that was Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock is the guy who ran over Stone Cold. So the number one beneficiary of Triple H's inability to get over is Ken Shamrock. So what does that mean? Where does that go? As it currently stands, WCW is out of business, but there will have to be a conclusion to the invasion. There's all sorts of opportunities that open company-wide, just as it does wrestler-wide in this place. So this truly is the season of opportunity. This is the land of opportunity, long before Shane McMahon sells SmackDown with that moniker. And Perry Saturn is just thrown out. I believe that's Chris Benoit. Baldy boy Chris Benoit is out of the Rumble. Saves me an awkward thumbnail at some point in the future. And Shamrock, man, the legitimacy of Ken Shamrock versus the over-the-top character design of the Godfather. Oh. And Shamrock with a German on Kurt Hennig. We got a lot of legitimacy in the ring right now with Shamrock, Perry Saturn, and with Kurt Hennig. Sting throws Venus over but doesn't follow up. Jumping kick. Some might call it a brogue kick by Saturn. Oh, look, we're already getting that warning again. Here we are. Here we are as we're down to number 27, and he's back. Last seen is Coquina Maximus in WCW. It seems Vince has countered some of the WCW returns tonight with a super heavyweight of his own. And hey, Vader and Yokozuna have a long storied history in this sim. So there's where we have it. There's where we have it. So, Yokozuna, the longest time spent in a Rumble to win in this Sims history. I think he won from the number 11 spot, which is almost impossible to do in a WWE 2K game with computer simulation rather than playing it. So, there we have it. We've got Yokozuna. We've got Val Venus. We've got Dusty Rhodes. I probably should have turned all those stunned HUDs off. It's at 27 now. I guess I'll just leave it for the time being. Apologies, but thank you for sticking around. If you watched us, thanks a lot. If you didn't, well, you won't hear us. So there we are. So in the ring, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gentlemen. I'm trying to see sort of my WCW count. I've got Hennig. I've got Sting. I've got Dusty. I've got Shamrock. So 4 WCW, 4 WWF as we come down the pipeline. Again, thought that looked like it was going to be a pedigree, but it's not. Shamrock with Venus bringing, now that's 2/3 of a well-established rivalry. The third part being Bret Hart. Bret Hart is retired. Sting. Several clubbing blows to the back of the Godfather. Oh, but the Godfather reverses, but Sting saves himself. But Yoko is successful in throwing out Val Venus. Only one can win. There can only be one. Who is the one? Sting eliminates the Godfather. So that's 2 WWF guys have just been eliminated in the last 30 seconds. There's a lot of beef in that ring right now. I mean, Dusty's got Yoko making him look like a cruiserweight. So Yoko throws Dusty over, and Yoko eliminates Dusty. So a WCW name goes out. And Hennig throws out Sting. So we're down to 2 WWF guys and 2 WCW guys. And I'm sure Yoko was 27. There we are. Who's left? Woo! Ric Flair making his return. One of the lost names has not been seen in any part of this sim. I swore I told it to choose the short-haired black trunk version, but that's okay. Flair is back. Flair will have to explain why. Clearly he's here for WCW, but Perry Saturn's out. So now I've got Yokozuna, Ken Shamrock, Ric Flair. Either one of these guys can main event WrestleMania. That's okay. Who do we have left? Oh, I felt like I set myself up for that. I will say this. X-Pac is so close to the verge of the main event in this sim. Former Intercontinental Champion, former hardcore, and a long reigning hardcore champion. Kind of went on a long undefeated streak with that title belt. Yeah, X-Pac not overexposed the way he might have been, and therefore I don't think people were sick of him in the sim. Multiple-time tag team champion. X-Pac's done all right for himself. Who's number 30? All I can say, folks, is I had no bearing on that. I don't know anybody from 12 on. It was random. You hope for these things, but we've got Austin and Flair. That's the first matchup. If this was televised, everybody's off to the side. You're just doing the old face-to-face. But X-Pac has a run and eliminates Ken Shamrock. So we've got 3 WWF guys and 1 WCW guy, and that WCW guy is Ric Flair. And Flair is going for Austin. Oh, he's going for Yoko. There is. He's a man. You know, Steve Austin famously don't trust anybody. Austin and Flair. You know, we're talking back a whole generation. Yoko might have been able to have Ric Flair there. Can you imagine Bobby Heenan? His reaction to this. Bobby Heenan on the payroll. Bobby Heenan somewhere shouting, it's not fair to Flair. 3-on-1 is not fair to Flair. X-Pac with a DDT, but what's he supposed to do? Waltman is outworking everybody as he has a fisherman suplex he stole from Kurt Hennig. And now Austin's going to have a go with a pile driver on the Nate Shaboy. X-Pac with a bit of a drive-by kick. Oh, it's just, everyone's just ricocheting into each other. Nothing to do with, what's his name? Trevor Mann. Nothing to do with Trevor Mann. But, I thought Austin was going to try and throw Ric Flair out. He does not do that. So it does seem like it's Austin and Flair. Oh, should I say that? Austin goes after X-Pac, and then Austin goes after Yokozuna. Don't trust anybody. Austin, who was the runner-up in the Royal Rumble last year. Yokozuna, who has won the Royal Rumble previously. And Austin picks up X-Pac and throws him out. So we are down to 3. It's Yokozuna. It's Ric Flair. It's Steve Austin. It's for a shot at WrestleMania 18. As Yokozuna just did Roman Reigns' psych-up spot. Who's Roman Reigns? What am I talking about? That's just a name. That's a random name I plucked out of the air. But Yokozuna, I used to love it when he'd do those kicks, and he is so mobile for a guy his size. One of the tragedies of the sport, of the pastime, whatever it is you want to refer to pro wrestling as, the wonderful artistic endeavor that it is. Austin comes after Yoko. He can't lift him. There's no way. Is Flair going to help? Nope. Gonna watch him. Now, if you're Flair, do you want to be left alone with Yokozuna at the end? Yokozuna in 2002. Are you kidding me? But a Royal Rumble's the perfect place. What's you going to do? It's hard to throw a man that size over. I don't think in this universe Austin has won a Royal Rumble. I don't think so. He's got, I'd say, his best chance, but he went last year down to the final two. So where are we going here? Austin. Stalking. Austin waiting. Oh, stunner, not a stunner. When is this guy going to catch a break in the money age? Oh, $1 Million Dream. Shades of the Ringmaster. $1 Million Dream. Ric Flair rolls through. Yoko's going to, no, he's reversed. And Flair's got him in the corner, but Austin's on him now. Flair fights his way free. Yokozuna to Austin. Yoko was going to try and throw Austin over the ropes. But now Flair's going to try for that. And Austin reverses that. It feels like we're in the final stretch, doesn't it? But where and how? Yoko, again, gets him close. I don't know why he went to the north ropes rather than the south ropes, but he did. Flair gets Austin over the top, and then Yoko interferes. Yoko lines up Flair. He gets him up, and yeah, that wasn't the smoothest move. We'll call that a botch rather than a glitch, shall we? Ric Flair. Oh, when it gets to 3, so many things have to go right, I guess. If you're not going to knock anybody over. Flair of something I've not seen in his arsenal before. Where do you go with this? Look at theoretically, let's look at this. Hogan versus Yoko. Taker versus Yoko. Real life history on both those. Undertaker versus Ric Flair. WrestleMania 18. Does that ring a bell? Or Ric Flair versus Hollywood Hogan. Or then you've got Austin versus Taker. Or do you go Austin versus Hogan? Need to bring up, last month, Hogan beats Austin in a world title match to retain by countout, by NWO interference, and then moved on. A victory's a victory. Hogan moved on. Austin could have his chance to get the world title out of WCW, to put a dagger through the heart of WCW in the main event of WrestleMania against Hollywood Hogan. So there's, as it currently sits, 6 possible main events, all of which have credibility. There is not. There might be a best choice, but I don't think there's a bad choice in the 6 options there. So where do you go from here? We got to find a winner first. Ric Flair, who's been dominant since the first day of the sim, had a great back and forth with Nikita Koloff, where they traded that belt back a bunch of times. Nikita Koloff might be the one who really he's probably the lost entry of the 1980s here. He's the one WCW guy we've not seen. But he's not been relevant in a long time. But Ric Flair, 5 or 6 WCW championships since 1984. He's definitely done his bit. President for a long stretch of WCW. Austin with the stunner. Stone Cold. Stone Cold on Ric Flair. but then instantly is set upon by Yokozuna, who puts him up. He doesn't, don't tell me he goes final 2, and then is eliminated in 3. And he is. We have one WWF guy. We have one WCW guy. We have Yokozuna. We have Ric Flair. Both multiple-time world champions. Both making their returns, and it's Yokozuna who wins. Yokozuna is going to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. Where does he go? We're assuming he's Team WWF. We're assuming. We're being told that on Raw, Mr. Fuji will be with Yokozuna and will declare where Yokozuna is headed. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Thanks a lot for sticking around. Thought my SD card was out of the room. It's not. It's close, but it's not. Check it out. You want the full sim? It's all in written detail. Come play along. Check out what we're doing. Postwrestling.com. Forum.postwrestling.com. I'm Ian. Smart Time Machine. We'll check you next time.